There is a question that has quietly followed humanity since ancient times, weaving itself into every choice, every desire, every unnameable anxiety. What truly brings us contentment? We search for happiness in success, in money, in the recognition of others. We believe that if we just had a little more, another achievement, another relationship, another layer of security, our hearts would finally be at peace. Yet, strangely, the more we have, the more we feel lacking. The closer we get to what we want, the more we notice a new emptiness waiting to be filled. And then, in the most ordinary moments, when night falls and all noise fades away, when we sit alone with nothing left to distract the mind, we began to sense a difficult truth. The unease is not in the outside world, but deep within ourselves. It is not because we do not have enough, but because we have not understood what we truly need. True contentment is not a state we achieve by accumulating more from the world. It is not a reward reserved for the most successful, nor a privilege for the fortunate. It is a deep understanding, an inner transformation, where we no longer chase, no longer resist, no longer place conditions on our peace. But to touch that state, we must first dare to look directly at the way we are living. We live as if everything is lacking. We compare ourselves to others, measuring our worth by external standards. We fear loss, fear being left behind, fear not being enough, and these fears keep us from ever stopping. We do not allow ourselves to rest, to be content, because deep inside, we believe that if we stop, we will fall behind. Yet there is a subtle paradox. The more we strive for contentment, the further we move away from it, because contentment cannot exist in a mind rooted in lack. It cannot arise from a heart that is constantly demanding. It appears only when we begin to letting go of the need to become someone else, letting go of comparison, even letting go of the idea that we must achieve something to feel whole. Imagine a still lake. When the water is disturbed, we cannot see the bottom, but when all movement ceases, the surface becomes clear, reflecting the sky completely. The human mind is the same. When filled with desires, worries, and expectations, we cannot see our true nature. But when we settle, without trying to control or change, a natural peace begins to reveal itself. True contentment is not excitement or intense joy. It is gentle, quiet, almost so ordinary that we easily overlook it. It is the ability to sit still without feeling a lack, the ability to experience life without needing it to be different. It is when we realize that the present moment, though imperfect, is still complete in its own way. This does not mean we give up our dreams or stop growing. On the contrary, when we are no longer driven by a sense of lack, we act with a completely different freedom. We work not to prove our worth, but to express it. We love not to fill loneliness, but because our hearts naturally wish to give. We live not to rush toward a distant destination, but to truly be present in each step. Understanding true contentment is a profound turning point. It is not an idea to think about, but something to experience. And that journey does not begin somewhere far away. It begins right here in how we see ourselves, and how we face what is present, and how we learn to pause, to listen, and to accept. Because in the end, what we have always been searching for is not in the future. It has always been here, hidden behind all our striving and seeking. And when we are still enough to recognize it, we will see that peace has never left us. We simply have not truly returned to notice it. When we began to look more deeply into the nature of contentment, we gradually realize that what causes human suffering is not that life is too lacking, but that the mind is constantly operating in a state of not enough. This is a very subtle mechanism. No matter what we achieve, the feeling of satisfaction lasts only for a short time, then gives way to another desire. It is as if we are drinking seawater. The more we drink, the thirstier we become. This is not accidental. The human mind is programmed to seek, to compare, to move forward. It continuously sets new standards, new goals, making us always feel that we have not yet arrived. And so, even when life on the outside appears abundant, within us there remains an emptiness that cannot be named. But if we observe carefully, we will see the problem is not how much we have, but how we perceive what we have. When the mind is clouded by desire and fear, everything becomes incomplete. A delicious meal can still lack satisfaction if we eat while worrying. A peaceful moment can still be disturbed if we are thinking about things that have not yet happened. Life is not lacking. We simply have not truly been present to touch it. True contentment begins when we learn to look back at ourselves instead of continuing to chase the world. It is when we realize that nothing outside can bring lasting satisfaction. If there is still unrest within, we may change circumstances, change environments, change the people around us, but if the way we see life does not change, the sense of lack will return in another form. There is a very important moment in this journey. That is when we begin to clearly see the impermanence of all things. Every emotion comes and goes. Every success eventually fades. Every relationship changes over time. When we do not understand this, we cling. We try to hold on to what feels pleasant and avoid what causes pain. But that very clinging is the source of suffering, because we are trying to hold on to what cannot be held. When we truly understand impermanence, something very gentle happens. We begin to let go, not giving up, not becoming indifferent, but letting go of control. We still live, still love, still make efforts, but we no longer place all our happiness in the outcome. We allow things to come and go like passing breezes, without trying to hold them or push them away. From there, a different kind of peace appears. It does not depend on whether today goes well or not. It is not shaken by praise or criticism. It requires no conditions. It is a stability that comes from no longer being pulled by every small fluctuation of life. Contentment is also not a state where everything becomes perfect. In fact, it appears most clearly when we accept that life is inherently imperfect. There are days when everything flows smoothly and days when everything seems to go against us. But when there is no longer resistance, we are no longer swept into the spiral of disappointment. We began to see that even in what is not as we wish, there is still life unfolding, still lessons opening, still an opportunity to understand ourselves more deeply. A content person is not someone who no longer has desires, but someone who is not dependent on them. They may move toward good things, but if things do not happen as planned, they do not lose their peace. They no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But instead, "How can I understand this?" And this very subtle shift creates a very great difference. When we no longer resist reality, we begin to harmonize with it. When we stop trying to force life to follow our will, we realize that life has its own rhythm, and when we listen to that rhythm, everything becomes much lighter. True contentment is not a destination at the end of the path. It is the way we walk the path. It is not in the future, but in each moment we are living, and each time we return to the present without judgment, without demand, without escape, we move closer to the peace we have been seeking for so long. In the end, the most profound realization we can have is this: we have never truly lacked anything to feel whole. We have simply become accustomed to seeing life through the lens of lack, and when that lens gradually dissolves, an entirely different world appears, not because it has changed, but because we have changed the way we see it. And then, as the search gradually quiets down, a very simple yet profoundly deep truth begins to reveal itself. What we have always been seeking has never been far away. It is not in what we have yet to achieve, nor is it hidden in some perfect future. It has always been present, very quietly, in this very moment where we rarely pause long enough to truly feel it. True contentment is not the final destination of a long journey, but an awakening right in the midst of that journey. It does not require us to become a more perfect version of ourselves, nor does it demand that life change according to our will. On the contrary, it invites us to return to ourselves, to the breath, to what is, and in that returning, something remarkable happens. We begin to realize that we have never been lacking. Life may still have its difficulties. There may still be things that are not complete. But when we no longer view everything through the lens of demand, we begin to see the genuine beauty of the present. A quiet morning, a warm glance, a moment when the mind is no longer pulled by the past or the future. These small things, once overlooked, now become the foundation of a deep peace, and within that peace, we understand that happiness is not something to be chased. It is something to be recognized, not through effort, but through awareness, not by holding on, but by letting go. Letting go is not losing, but returning life to its true nature. Letting go of rigid expectations, silent comparisons, invisible fears. Letting go even of the idea that we must become someone in order to deserve peace. As those layers gradually fall away, what remains is not emptiness, but a very natural fullness of completeness that needs no proof, no validation from the outside. Perhaps along this journey, there will be times when we forget, times when we are pulled again into the cycle of desire and anxiety. But that does not mean we have lost contentment. It is simply a reminder that we can return at any moment. Just a pause, a deep breath, a gentle awareness, and we are already back. Therefore, living in contentment is not a fixed state, but an ongoing practice. It is each day we learn to see life with new eyes, each time we choose to understand instead of react, to accept instead of resist, to be present instead of escape, and little by little, without noise or display, a lasting peace begins to take root within us. If you are listening to these words, perhaps somewhere within you there has already been a resonance. It may not be a great transformation all at once, but a very subtle feeling as if something true, something familiar, is being remembered, and that feeling itself is the beginning. There is no need to rush, no need to force. Simply continue to listen, to observe, and allow yourself to go deeper into this understanding. If these reflections resonate with you, leave a comment, not to prove anything, but to share a part of your journey. Every experience, every perspective is a valuable piece, not only for you, but also for those who are quietly searching just like you. And if you wish to continue exploring more deeply about peace, about how to live lightly in a constantly changing world, consider subscribing to the channel, not for the numbers, but because this can be a small space where you can return, settle, and remind yourself of what truly matters. Finally, I wish you and the whole world a peace that does not depend on conditions, a contentment that is not shaken by circumstances, and a heart still enough to realize that, in this very moment, everything is already enough.